you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Hello, everybody. This is Harold Green of Bright Tree Wealth Management, and it is time to stop doing what you hate. Hopefully, you're having a fantastic day. I'm just doing pretty good. I just got back from the driving range, hitting some balls, and it's pretty cool out here in Vegas. And it just kind of felt like I'm starting to get adjusted. Found my groove. We've been out here for about 2 years, and about a year and a half, going on 2 years. And so I never thought I would just kind of settle in, and so I'm pretty excited about that. But so it's going to be a very interesting show today because I'm going to be laying the foundation for another show that I'm going to do sometime in the near future. But first of all, I want to talk about my week. It's pretty interesting. There's a lot of stuff going on. Sunday, I drove about an hour and a half up to the state park. It's like out in the middle of nowhere. But when you get out there, it's just beautiful rocks. It's almost like Antelope Canyon, but not as beautiful as Antelope Canyon, but it's still really nice out there. And it was just like tons of people out there. And it's like, how do you guys even find this place? I mean, we had foreigners out there. We had people from like India, China, because you hear all the different languages, Sweden. It's just people out there just kind of enjoying the beauty and scenery. And so my wife and I just kind of hiked back into this. It's like an enclave or something. It's like two mountains or two like big rock formations that are just kind of jutting up into the sky, and they just kind of come to a close at the back. And you walk in there, and it's just really neat because you look up, you can actually see holes in the top of it, and just kind of look up to the sky. And so I took some really nice pictures. And a lot of times when I do stuff like that, it just kind of relaxes me and gives me things to talk to you folks about, things that are in my mind, things that I've experienced and things that I've lived through. And so today, the title of today's show is Financial Sobriety, and not making light of being sober from alcohol or drug addiction or anything like that. I just want to talk to you about being financially sober, what it means, and then how you can implement that in your life. So are you ready? 1, 2, 3, let's get it. Are you financially sober, or are you financially intoxicated? And here's what I mean by that. Day in and day out, I see people making financial decisions like, and you see the things that they do, and it's like, are you in your right mind? And that's the first thing I want to ask is like, are you really in your right mind? Like, why are you making this financial decision? Like, why do you think this is going to work out for your benefit? And I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I don't claim to be, I don't claim to be some kind of genius. I don't claim to be some kind of guru. I just simply work hard for everything that I have. And as I was telling someone today that came on board as a new client, welcome aboard. I'm not going to say his name, but he doesn't live in Hawaii. He lives out here in the mainland with us, but we have Hawaii ties and things like that. So, we just had a really neat conversation about why it is that we do the things that we do, and what is my mission and what is my goal for my clients. And I don't really know if we talked about the 97%, but as you guys all know, my goal is to get people from the 97% to the 3%, which means 3% of the people in the United States will retire with enough money to live on. The other 97% will continue to struggle and make choices and decisions that are not in their overall best interest. And I mean, I've just had a lot of conversations with a lot of people lately, and there's a lot of things going on in the world. And one of the things that are getting people financially intoxicated is their emotions. And it's not only their emotions, but it's how they react to things that they don't like. And I'm not going to make light of this in any kind of way because it's a serious matter. We're talking about the new administration and the things that they're doing. And it seems like to a T that everybody that I talked to that didn't vote for the guy, they hate everything that he's doing. It makes absolutely no sense to them whatsoever at all. And when I talk to people that did vote for the guy, they're like, yo, this is great. He's doing everything I ever wanted, everything I ever dreamed of that a president would do. And so they're making decisions on the one side. The other folks on the other side, some of them are making decisions to the detriment. But some of my clients, they're financially sober in the fact that they understand what the mission is and they understand what the goal is. And sometimes I do have to talk people down off of a ledge because they're about to jump off in a negative direction in terms of a financial decision. But we all have to just calm down and sit down and like look at, okay, what is it that we're trying to accomplish? What is the ultimate goal? Yeah, we know people that are getting laid off from their job in the federal government. Yes, that sucks. I mean, there's a lot of negative things that are going on. And so what I like to do is just talk to you a little bit about some of the things that you can do to make sure that you are not financially making decisions because of some kind of like intoxication, like you're not in your right mind. And that's very difficult to do when you let emotion rule the day. So I'm going to give you a few steps and then I'm going to tell you like how to put this to work. And this is very simple. The first thing that you got to do is you got to understand what your goals are and what you are trying to accomplish financially. And and sometimes I have a hard time talking about this because it stirs up a lot of emotion in people. And I'll give you an example. When you're investing in the market or you're investing in anything at all, right? When you have like an investment strategy, you're trying to put money to work. The question is why do you believe that that's the best way to go to get you to where you want to be? Are you intoxicated? What was another word is called bias, right? Are you biased against a particular way of doing things? Were you taught that this is the best way to go and that's all you ever learn and you're not really open to learning anything else, right? Are you following a herd or doing what everybody else is doing? Okay. What is it that makes you think that what you're doing is the absolute best thing in the world? You got to have your convictions about your strategy. And when you don't have conviction about your strategy, it's easily to get intoxicated with all kinds of information that's put out there. And this is leading me into what I'm about to say. Information that's put out by the wealthy is geared to get you to do several different things. It is how the rich get richer. And I don't want to go too far into it because I don't want to become somebody's target because I'm going to say some things that pretty much will put a target on my back. I don't want to do that just yet. I'm going to wait a while, right? I need a lot more money than I have right now to make sure I'm insulated from any type of attacks because I'm telling you, the things that I've learned and the things that I know, and it's not like somebody told me these things. It's kind of like you have intuition and the Bible calls it the spirit of knowledge. And what happens is God gives you insight into things that no one ever told you. Like it's like ultimate supreme wisdom. Like how did you figure that out? Like how did you come to that conclusion? And I won't get too deep into it. But having your clear-cut objective, knowing why you're doing what you're doing is very important because when you hear news that comes out to the contrary, how are you going to react to that? Are you going to double down on what you're doing and invest more, or are you going to cut and run? I'll give an example. So investments do carry risk of loss, right? Past performance is no indicator of future results. And if you're going to invest, you got to make sure you do your due diligence and understand risk tolerance and time horizons and different things like that. And so I was kind of doing a market minute the other day for some clients. And if you're a client, you got this market minute. And if you listen to the show and you haven't been paying attention to the market minutes, I highly encourage you to do that if you are a client. And we were talking about super micro computer. And I don't fall in love with any particular position in our portfolio. I'm just not like that. I kind of used to be like that when I first started in the investment world. I kind of became like a fanboy of certain companies and certain stocks and like a cheerleader for them yeah, I understood the fundamentals and things like that, but I had to learn how to disconnect my personal feelings from my professional way of doing things. And I had to become sober in the sense that if I have to take profits on an option, I have to take profits on that option. I can't sit there and say, yeah, it's going to keep going higher and it's going to keep going and it's going to do this and it's going to do that. I have to make my moves because if I sit here and listen to financial media and I hear some guy pumping it up, I'm liable to get intoxicated to the point where I'm just like, I'm all gushing over it. I'm all googly over it. And I'm like, yeah, I bought this. I'm holding this. I'm going to ride it. This guy says this. This lady says that. They're, top analysts for, whatever. And yeah, okay, I'm in agreement with that. and I don't check myself at the door. I don't check myself. If I don't check myself, I can become suspect to being financially intoxicated and making bad decisions when I should have sold that option. Now I'm hanging on to it. I'm writing it down. And now I'm all like, oh my God, I should have sold it. I should have got out of it, blah, 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 blah. And on and on and on and on and on. And then also to the contrary, when I'm in these positions and I hear a lot of negative news about them, okay, what do I do? Am I going to like get all like intoxicated and scared and run and just sell unnecessarily because I'm afraid of what I heard? Even though I've studied all the fundamentals, am I going to like lie awake at night worried about it? No. 9 times out of 10, what I'm going to do when like they start crashing down on a position that I'm in for whatever reason, if I see it's bad and negative and it's not anything that's going to change the company's fundamentals, it's not like the company's going bankrupt, it's just a narrative that's being pushed by either hedge funds or people that are looking for notoriety and just like trying to get their name out there, I'm gonna ride it, and sometimes I'm gonna double down on it, right? Because I know what my ultimate goals are. I know what my clear cut objectives are. And I'm not gonna let anyone scare me away from doing what I believe and what I know is going to help me reach my ultimate goal, not only for myself, but also for my clients. And that kind of leads me into my next thing. And this is a very simple one. Once you know what your goals are and you have your clear cut objectives and you understand what your strategy is, why would you let anybody talk you out of doing what you're doing? Why would you let anyone do that? Is it because you don't have the conviction that what you're doing is going to work in the end? Are the voices stronger than you are or stronger than your conviction? And here's the thing that I found the most. What makes people lack conviction in their strategy is the fact that they're doing something in their financial lives that they are not supposed to be doing. Okay. And this is very simple. You could be overspending your budget. You could be buying property that you should not be buying. Okay. And sometimes what clients will do is they say that I'm their financial advisor, I'm their guy, but they start to dabble around in things that, they think they know what they're doing. They've talked to people, they've talked to so-called experts and people that are supposedly top in their fields or whatnot. And I'm going to tell you, everybody got something to sell. Everybody got something to sell. Okay. There's two sides of this transaction. Either you're a buyer or you're a seller. Okay. Either you're a buyer or you're a seller. I'm the same way. What am I trying to sell you? I'm trying to sell you on the idea of getting out of the 97% and into the 3%. If you're tired of doing what you hate, the title of my show is Stop Doing What You Hate. If you hate not being able to live life and do the things you want to do, if you hate being stuck in the back of the plane and making excuses as to why you're stuck back there, you'll never fly first class. You can't stand people who do, and you can't see wasting money. Again, that's a form of financial intoxication. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with saying that you prefer to sit back there, but just don't get mad about it and just take a negative stance on it. Like you're there out of a negative situation. Either you don't have the money or you just kind of been conditioned that you're okay with that. You just want to get to where you're going and you don't care how you get there. You want to spend the money on something. That's different. You rather spend the money while you're on the trip than the actual trip. I'm cool with that. But when you do it out of negative reasons and negative emotions, that's a form of financial intoxication. Like you're drunk with something that's not cool. Okay. Very important stuff. Again, if you believe in what you believe in, why would you let someone talk you out of what you are doing? And you also have to make sure that you're not being sold a bill of goods. There's a lot of guys out there and people out there that will try to convince you that their way is the right way. Do they have any results? And I'm going to tell you a very, very important secret. If someone's trying to sell you something, you got to have proof that it works. It's worked for other people. And is it working for them? Anybody who wants to see my portfolio, okay, I'm going to be very careful about this. If I know them as a client and they come on board, I may share bits and pieces of what's in my portfolio with them in terms of what I'm doing. And 9 times out of 10, it's exactly what's in their portfolio, but it's magnified by either 100 in mine because my risk score is just off the charts. Why? Because as an active money manager, I can watch my positions every day, not only for myself, but for my clients. I may have 50 options in a client's portfolio. And 9 times out of 10, those same 50 options are in a lot of clients' portfolios, but in different amounts because of the risk that they have. So I'm not afraid to put my money where my mouth is. I believe in what it is that I'm doing because, as I told my assistant today, my client concierge, Beverly, look, our job is to bust our tail for everybody that's on our bus. And if you're not on my bus, I'm not worried about you, right? You can believe whatever it is you want to believe. I'll feel sorry for you. But if you are on our bus, we're going to take care of you. And that's why I put out these messages so that I can strengthen your faith in your strategy. And believing negative information that's put out by the wealthy is how the rich get richer because they're selling you something and you're buying it. So I'm going to put a label on it that says buyer beware. So number 1, have your game plan. Number 2, have strong convictions about it. Number 3, don't let anybody talk you out of it, especially if you know that you're doing the right thing. I want you in the 3% and not the 97%. So if you feel like we're going to be a good match and there's something that we can do for you and you like the things that I'm putting out on my shows, you want this kind of action in your portfolio, because a lot of people, their advisors don't do options at all. Options are extremely risky. They're risky if you don't watch them every day. You have to have an active money manager. You have to have a firm that's watching what's going on every single day. And I was talking to a new client that's coming on board, and we were talking about it, and we were going through the risk assessment. And the risk assessment basically says if you take on this amount of risk, you could make, I think it was like you could make $145,000 or you can lose $98,000 in the 6 months. And that's a very risky thing. And what it did was when you got through with all of it, it says, okay, at this level of risk, you can expect a annual return of about 9%. That's what the risk software said, about 9%. And I said, bro, if I'm taking this much risk in your portfolio and I only make you 9%, I said, I deserve to be fired right away. You don't take on that level of risk in your portfolio just to make 9%. I told him, I said, we're shooting for 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 in our portfolios if we're taking on that kind of risk. No, you have to be tactical. And that's the word that my son uses. And that's the word that it's an industry word. You have to be tactical in your portfolios. You can't be guessing. You can't be gambling. You can't be wishing. You can't be hoping. You must be tactical. And that's why you must have clear-cut objectives. So if you want this action in your financial plan, give us a call, 808-521-4401. Get on my schedule. Beverly will hook you up and we'll just talk. We'll go through strategy and then see what it looks like for you and your family and see if we can get you from the 97% to the 3%. And if you're in the 3%, shoot, let's try to get you to the 1. And if you're already in the 1, let's get to the top, whatever, 0.05, whatever, and there's always room for improvement. So thank you for allowing me to share today's show with you. And until next time, everybody, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.